Well, we're going to talk more about the situation in Lebanon now. For that, we're joined by Joseph Bahout, who's the director of the Issam Fares Institute for Public Policy and International Affairs and associate professor at the American University of Beirut. Thank you very much for being with us on France 24. In your eyes, what will it take for this conflict to end? I mean, Israel wants the defeat and basically the elimination of Hezbollah, but Hezbollah is not looking like it's prepared to lay down its arms now more than ever.
Yes, exactly. And this is why I think this conflict is gonna take a long time, probably fester. And what is to be afraid of in Lebanon is that at some point this conflict will also take other dimensions, like a sort of domestic confrontation within the country. I think that yesterday's deadly and really bloody raids of Israel were the expression of several things. It was the expression of the rage of Benjamin Netanyahu to see that a ceasefire has been installed with Iran against his will, if we believe the reports. It was also a strong message sent to everyone, including the US, that he will not abide by one of the terms of the agreements, meaning leaving Lebanon or putting Lebanon within the framework of the ceasefire agreement, meaning that he would continue his campaign. And third, it was an announcement that it was an upscaling of the ongoing war of Israel in Lebanon, to which a new name has been given yesterday, as you said, the name of eternal darkness. So I think that what we are seeing today is really the many signals that this war is going to last. Hezbollah is showing much more resilience than many people thought, at least on the ground in the south. Israel is also showing definitive resolve to eradicate or at least erode the party very much so, and probably sees part of the land in southern Lebanon as a prize before negotiating with the Lebanese government.
All right. Well, Washington, as U.S. officials have said, was essentially convinced to go to war with Iran because Israel was going to do so anyway. And here again, we see Donald Trump kind of backing up Benjamin Netanyahu, saying, no, Lebanon wasn't part of this ceasefire deal, kind of giving the Israeli Prime Minister carte blanche to go ahead and do what he wants. What will stop the Israeli Prime Minister or the Israeli government?
Today, I don't see anything stopping Israel or the war. The only thing that would maybe push the Israeli government to revise its plans or decisions is most probably a sort of relative failure at achieving their ultimate goals. It's a bit like what happened with Donald Trump in Iran. I think that what pushed him to start thinking about negotiating a ceasefire was when he reached a point where he had to upscale the war at some levels that were probably potentially unacceptable for the US. I think for Israel, it will be the case, or at some point, Israel will be satisfied with only taking a sort of demilitarized zone in the south of Lebanon, stopping there, probably continuing certain air raids in the depths of the Lebanese territory. And at some point, at this point, probably there will be an international effort to really launch a Lebanese-Israeli negotiation that will lead to a more solid and endurable ceasefire. Another scenario, which is very lowly probable today, is a quick crumbling of Hezbollah and its almost surrendering, which I don't see today.
Well, we're running out of time, so I'd just like to ask you one last question. You said earlier that this conflict might fester into something domestically. Tell us more about that and the sentiment towards Hezbollah and whether we can assume the country will never be the same again.
Country and probably the region will not be the same again. What I meant by festering into domestic dimension is that what is happening in parallel to the war is this incredible, enormous influx of refugees and displaced persons from the south of Lebanon into other areas. This is causing increasing tensions, on the societal level in Lebanon, and these tensions could very quickly transform into armed skirmishes here and there. And at that point, I think the Lebanese government will be under pressure to either take Hezbollah frontally by a sort of military or police action, which would trigger a conflict, or the skirmishes between people, between segments of the Lebanese population could also transform into something bigger if weapons are in circulation and if the situation lasts longer and the patience of people really reaches a limit where they couldn't take it anymore.
All right, Joseph Bahout, Director of the Issam Fares Institute for Public Policy and International Affairs, thank you very much for being with us.